Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's very cold today now, but it was pretty warm during the day. Anyway, today I'm gonna do a little bit of intro. I'm Valerine. I'm a neurodivergent woman in her 40s. This is a channel where I just talk about whatever I have in mind. There is no script, there is no structure, it's just a free talk. Basically, it's just a venting channel for me. So if you like hearing me, listening to me, you can stay and just have me in the background and stuff. Just complain about life. Um, yeah. So today I woke up because it was raining today. So my bones usually aches very much, when it rains. Like my whole body aches. Mostly the bones. I'm not sure why, but I have a few surgery scars, so that's probably why. And I was really depressed. Well, I don't know, depressed, sad, because I think depression is much a longer episode. I was like extremely sad and annoyed, and the cat. If you don't know, I'm fostering a cat right now, and the cat was just behaving very normally. Like she bites in the morning, like that's her bite time usually, and she was biting a lot more this morning. And I think she got me a little bit deep with one bite, so I was like, I cried, and then I was like crying because I was like, oh, it was too. I don't know. I guess like I was in a fragile mode, and it was like very difficult. But she just ate now, so she's fine. Um, so yeah, I had like a craft meeting today, so I thought I had to go outside and meet people and see people so that at least I didn't want to stay in that kind of mood and stuff. So I did that. I'm whispering because my neighbor is just next door and they are watering the plants at the moment. So I don't want to raise any kind of suspicion or any kind of nosiness, even though I am very nosy. Um, so came back just now, and I thought I would record this video before I settled down for the day. And I think whatever feeling that I had throughout this year is erased, meaning I think in the beginning of the year or the end of last year, I was kind of dissociated a lot, which means like the upside of that is that I don't feel much, or at least I don't get affected by what my body is feeling, like emotionally and stuff. Hold on, let me just pause and let the neighbor finish whatever they're doing. I think they're still around, but finished watering their plants closer to where I am now, so I haven't heard them going back. But anyway, so that bite that I had from the cat this morning made me feel very distant towards her. It's as if that I am putting all my anger towards this cat. Like, why are you attacking me when I'm feeding you? And I was feeling very resentful towards the cat. So I decided, rather than blaming the cat and getting cooped up inside the apartment, I decided to see actual people in real life. And I just got back, and I don't know, I don't feel any better, but I don't feel any worse. So at least that's good. It's like it didn't increase my resentment, and sort of. And you know, also bumped into a neighbor, so there is a normality of interaction amongst people, I guess. Pat a dog. um, but I guess I was thinking that I'm maintaining the illusion of normality on the outside, but that's not how it is. But I guess like most people are like that. Most people are maintaining the illusion of normality, I think. um I'm feeling sad about things, I guess, because the anxiety about life is returning again, and I can feel these grief. I think I realize what anxiety is in my body now. Like when I have a knot in my stomach, I used to label it as anxiety a lot, but I think these days I'm labeling it more as grief or anticipatory grief, which what I think is happening. The cat left me. So today I don't feel like I didn't interact much with the cat today. So besides feeding it, so I don't think the cat and I are bonding very well today. And also I just patted a dog, so it might smell like a dog. Um, and I don't know if my neighbor has gone inside or not. There was no more sounds and I can't see any shadows. ASMR. Lucky I have a mic, otherwise this cannot be done. So yeah, so it's been a rough morning and kind of a normal afternoon so far. And I guess I wanted to record this before my feelings are all gone and I don't have any records of what today is. Um, I'm not sure if I am doing a very old habit again, which is catastrophizing a lot, which means that I'm making myself scared of the worst case scenario. In I'm not sure why, but it is something I used to do a lot, and I'm doing it today, which is like I am imagining the worst case scenario and I'm forcing myself to feel the fear and the anxiety and to feel like the knots and the consequences. So it's like the opposite of positive manifesting. I am negatively manifesting. That's what I'm feeling right now. Like that's what I feel like that's what I'm doing, which is not a good idea because if you're in the manifesting genre, um, faith is like you trying to faith is like having hope of a positive thing to happen, and fear and anxiety is having hope and of bad things to happen. So it's just like both are in the future and both are basically an anticipatory thing. I don't know how to say it. Anticipatory, anticipatory. Anyway, it's like both are basically having conviction of what's going to happen in the future. Both excitement and both anxiety. So, and maybe growing up trained me to expect the worst and stuff, and it's doing my but I feel like this time I want to I feel like there's always this noise as well in the background that is saying yes, but it is based on experience. It's not like you are imagining it, like this anticipatory I should avoid that word. This anticipation about future tragedy is based on my past experiences. So we have data on this, like, so I feel like my brain is trying to convince me that we are not crazy, that we are not actually being anxious because we're just being anxious without any data. We are actually doing it because we have data. That's the reason why it's actually um, practical to be anxious, so that it can prepare you for uh, the future that you don't want. The problem is it doesn't prepare me for that anticipatory that future expectant result. It actually made me freeze in place and make me go into helplessness and just it's not even surrender, because I think surrender is much more positive. It just goes into a freezing response, which is a trauma response, which makes me just stay inside this helplessness goo and helplessness pool of energy that is yucky and muddy and everything. Oh, the cat is here, just behind me. She's crouching. When she's crouching, I'm very scared because I feel like, um, is she in pain? Why is she crouching? Like, even though I am having a bad day or bad morning with her, I still don't want her to get sick. um, but yeah, I don't know how parents do it. Like, what happens if you resent your kid? It's like you still don't want anything bad to happen to her, but at least, but at the same time, you also have to respect your own feelings. Like, I don't like you at the moment. I really don't like you right now. Um, but the overall thing is still intact, you know, like you still want the best for them. You still want good things to happen to them. Um, my neighbor is still next door. I don't know what to do. They are pruning the plant that is next to my balcony so I can see, because it's not sealed, so it is visible. Like, there is this gap, this much gap, which the cat managed to escape once. About 2 months ago, the cat managed to escape from to their balcony, and I haven't spoken to them at all. I should, but I don't know, I'm an introvert and people come and go. Unless I've seen you around for like a good 2-3 years, I would not say anything, because the chance of you leaving and changing is like, I don't want to build something and then have it go away very quickly. So anyway, this has turned into an ASMR talk. um. So yeah. So I'm feeling like I'm falling into bad habits again. I am staying in bed until late in the afternoon. No, early in the afternoon or late morning. But I'm no longer waking up at dawn and making sure that the cat is out on the balcony and seeing sunrises anymore. I have reverted back to my old habits. Like I still feed her in the at dawn, and I'm still like, her feeding schedule is still intact. But the problem is I'm not doing anything more towards that. I'm not trying to make her happy on her schedule. So I'm providing basic, her meaning like the cat. I'm providing her basic stuff, like making sure she eats, making sure all her bowl is clean, her litter box is clean. Before, I was making sure that she's happy, making sure that she's going outside, so that, you know, doing it at dawn so that we see the sunrise together, and she's having a lot of balcony time. So fresh air and everything. But now I'm like, as soon as I do my chores to get her basically settled for the morning, and then I just go back to my bed and either doom scroll. No, I am using dawn to mid morning to do a lot of EMDR buzzing, and accompanied with hypnosis or morning meditation, which makes it like, it's more like a routine now. I'm trying to test, like, I think I've said this before in previous videos, but I'm trying to test whether, as a neurodivergent, the reason that I haven't manifested anything in my life, even though I've been in a manifesting kind of track for more than 26 years, more than a decade older than some people, is maybe because, like, as a neurodivergent nervous system, you are always in the fight and flight. So your sympathetic system is always on. So you are always guarded, and to manifest you always need to go into a parasympathetic system, which is means like parasympathetic is where you get rest and digest. So like if you don't have your parasympathetic on, you can't go into a deep sleep, and therefore you cannot restore your body or your health. You can't heal, and you can't go to the bathroom regularly, because that is part of the parasympathetic system. And TMI fact, I didn't go to the bathroom number two regularly up until 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So, and I think so I'm trying to test the theory that I have, which is if I use EMDR buzzers, which is bilateral stimulation, you can research it. So it's EMDR, bilateral stimulation. EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization reprogramming. So it basically helps with trauma, um, and mostly CPTSD, which is complex PTSD. It helps the brain rewire and trauma memories or trauma in the body as well, so that it kind of unlocks it and then becomes like what it truly is, which is the story of the past. Um, and your body kind of being released from that constant repetitive having to relieve the trauma event, um, and charges, like emotional charges. So that's like the nutshell what I understand what it is. You can research this all by yourself. So, um, disclaimer: I'm not a medical health professional. I'm just doing this for my own stuff. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using like the EMDR buzzers, so which is like basically using two phones that buzz like alternately. So that's create a bilateral stimulation. So it stimulates like the right and left hemisphere alternatively, and therefore triggers, in my case, a trance state, which is a theta state, which is a brainwave level where you can program your, I don't know, beliefs and whatever. And I noticed that it makes me go into a trance state only recently, maybe like the past few months or so. So I am now testing. Okay, so if I can go into a trance, that means I'm in a parasympathetic state. So I want to see if I use hypnosis videos and or meditation affirmation, I can influence my belief system, basically low jacking it, not hijacking it, low jacking it, to change my current situation, so that I don't know, I guess my nervous system is not too amped up. So that's my theory, and that's what I'm going. Like I want to see if there is any change or not, whether my theory is correct or not, whether hypothesis is correct or not. Because the worst case scenario that happens is just I get a good deep rest state or meditative state for like 3 hours. Um, so at least that's what I got. If nothing changes or stuff. But yeah, so today, a lot of emotion kind of came to the surface, and uh, maybe since Friday, it went up a notch. Now it's Sunday, so since Friday it went up a notch. Like the Friday, my stomach got a knot because someone inquired for adoption meet and greet for the cat, and I had a knot, and I was like feeling weird about it. I felt like, why is this knot usually comes for anxiety, but why is it here? Like, is it I'm anxious about something? And then I realized, maybe it's anticipatory. Is an anticipation of grief that is going to happen, of loss. So maybe it is a loss and a grief uh, sensation more than I thought it would be anxiety. It's a possible explanation in my head. I'm like, okay, maybe it is grief. Um, maybe what I feel as fear and anxiety is also grief, or is an or grief. So it's not limited to fear only. It's grief is this anticipation of losing a lot of things, and this death of something, or the change that is coming. And so it has been more than a year now where I'm feeling this intensity again. And I have been spared, I think, throughout the past year or so, almost the whole year, 12 months. Um, and now it's back, and I feel like I really don't know what to do. I don't know, even if I knew what to do, I feel like I'm locked in inside this chest, and there is a lock that doesn't allow me to do anything or change anything in my life. And feel like it's a sense of helplessness that is crystallized and solidified, that I don't know, it's a very strange feeling. It's as if that I'm observing the story of this person. But I also know, like, this person, the one that is with the body, is also me, but it's also separated. I kind of get the word Trinity, like, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit are one, but they're separated. It feels a bit like that. It feels like I know me, the soul, is observing this particular human, is having the experience of human experience. And there are moments where I feel like, and there's also the mind and the ego. And sometimes the mind and the ego is trying to avoid something that the soul senses going to happen. And so it creates so much resistance to not go towards those kind of trajectory. But no matter how much of the resistance, usually there's a certain storylines inside these humans, um, life path that needs to be experienced, and therefore you cannot avoid it. So, and then the soul kind of detach and dissociates and just observe this human going through it. And there are moments like this one right now where I feel like the mind is having anticipatory grief or anticipatory anxiety, because there's a sense of dread about what's coming. And there's also an expectations from the history of the past of helplessness, which, because it feels like I don't want to do anything, because even if I do something, it doesn't change the outcome anyway. So why would I spend energy to change something that I cannot change? And that is an extremely bad position to be in, because it's as if that you are waiting for this death row experience. You're waiting to be tortured. You're waiting to be, you're going into the slaughterhouse, and you know you're going to a slaughterhouse, and you know you're going to be in a lot of pain, and you cannot avoid it. It's like this period in between is also part of the torture experience almost. It makes me freeze in place, because I'm so scared that the nervous system shuts down. Even though I look normal, like I can do this, I can talk small talks to the neighbor, I can appear normal in the craft meeting. And I don't know, ever since I was a child, all I wanted to do was rest. I just want to rest in peace. And I think even the topic of death was never something I avoid much, except for ghosts. I'm scared of ghosts. I'm scared of spirits and ghosts and all that stuff. But the death itself is not something I'm scared about, even as I was a kid, and it stayed with me even now in my 40s, my 20s, in my teens. It never goes away. Um, it's as if that life is torture itself. The reason when I was a kid, you maybe even now, it's like I'm obsessed of trying to get money, but actually never, but like trying to manifest money rather than actually from the outside trying to do whatever you can to make money. I think it's because what I wanted to do really is just rest, and the fantasy is that when I have money, I can pay people to cook and to clean and to go grocery shopping for me. So it's basically just trying to pay for caretaking duties to so that I can recover. My nervous system can recover because the tiredness and the exhaustion was always there forever since I was a toddler. Like the dysregulation was always there. Like I remember when I was like I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 or something. I tried to immerse my body into a body of water, which is like a community collective water that people use for bathing. So you're not supposed to use the water. It's like there is a drum that you fill the water with, and then you can't go into the drum because you're supposed to kind of take water out and um, wash yourself with it. So it's not a shower. Um, it was more like you just get the collective water and then you use the water to bath yourself. Um, but I didn't know the words then. Neurodivergent is not something that you throw around. I'm not even using the word neurodivergent up until a few years ago. Even when I was figuring out that I had Asperger's, and now it moved the wording into autism. 14 years ago or 15 years ago, I haven't really adopted it as my identity until maybe the past few years since the COVID kicked in. Um, so, when you're 6 or 7, like there's not even a word for it, probably. Like I had that episode where my nervous system was so dysregulated, and all I could think of was just getting this body into that body of water, to dip myself fully immersed into the body of water. And I think that time my intention was to calm myself. It's an instinct that made me did that, and I did, and I got caught, and it kind of I got punished because you're not supposed to taint the communal water that is supposed to be used for everyone. By dipping my body into that communal water, I basically made it dirty. But at 6 or 7, like I just couldn't figure out. Like I just needed to go into a body of water to calm my nervous system down, which is like is part of um, if you study it, I think it's pretty common these days that you use water birthing because it does reduce pain when you water birth. So there is, I think, I'm pretty sure if you study it, there's always going to be a study that shows that if you immerse your body, it's going to reduce pain of some sort, I'm sure. I don't need to dig deep about that study because I remember like when I was having like a very bad burn from processing chilies and garlic using the food processor, and my hand were burning so hard. And then if I dip it into water, it stopped burning. So I knew like even with this particular incident that I had, that the nerves are calmed down by water, by submerging it into water. Um, but I did not know that when I was, 6 or 7. All I knew was instinct. It was just like, oh, you need to go into a body of water to calm your nervous system down. So I knew, like, even when I was a kid, that I felt broken somehow and damaged, and it wasn't like something that you figure it out by yourself, I guess. So, so now I'm in this position where I feel like I knew, like, figuratively, metaphorically, there's a car crash, and I'm gonna be in that car crash, but I can't do anything to change that. I'm just gonna wait until that car crash happen, or like the metaphor that I was using, I think, recently is that I no longer have the energy to fight my, like I'm drowning, but I have no energy or will to kind of just struggle to the surface of the water to take a breath, to get an oxygen, because the sun is setting. So now I'm just seeing like my body just letting go of the fight, and for it to be, and my soul is just looking at the body is drowning into the bottomless of the ocean. It's like I'm seeing my body is just letting go and drowning. That's how it feels, or that's how it, the experience is felt. I'm not saying that's what's happening, and I'm not saying that I will harm myself in that way. I'm just saying like that's the vision of the metaphoric visual of the feeling right now. And I guess like I understand when I'm talking and when I'm writing. And when I'm writing, it sounds very distressed, but it's not really. It's just a thought that can manifest itself into a visual. And then the more distressing part about it is the knot in the stomach, which is much more distressing for me. But the visual and experiences is just thoughts, and I can describe it because I can see it. The feelings that I have in my body usually is scarier because it's much more tangible, and when it happens, like today, usually I shut down and I just stay in bed the whole day or the whole week or whatever amount of helplessness and freezing mode it will last. Like nervous, like it will basically hold me hostage for a long time, and that is scarier because there's no visual. There's just trying to breathe through it until it breaks. And the problem is like these days, I feel like it's not imaginary. It's like it's actually reacting to something that I think is real. Like, and I don't have a solution to my situation. It doesn't get better. It's, and any kind of efforts that I try to put in to change the course of the tragedy, it's not going anywhere. And I know I'm using these words, and it, the words are going to provoke different feelings for different people, but it is the feelings behind these words that I am experiencing. I'm not saying like the event itself is gonna be dramatic and it's gonna be as you know, as catastrophic as the way I feel it, which is usually not gonna happen that way. And usually when it happens, I won't probably react as bigly as I am now, because as part of the neurodivergent experience, it's like this delayed or this anticipatory, um, this mismatch when it comes to timing of experiential emotions. Usually it's either delayed or it's either coming first, and so by the time when the event comes, you usually don't have the correct response, for example. um, because either you experienced it first or you're going to experience it later, so there is a mismatch, which is probably why a lot of neurodivergent people are misunderstood, because you know, like if you say someone died or something, they're not showing grief, you know, they're not showing the appropriate responses, but it will be felt either before or after. It's just not visible, that's all. Where's the cat? I think the cat moved on. I feel like I don't want to be scary for the cat, so I try to avoid her when I don't feel good, so I don't make a mistake. Because you know, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to be cruel towards something I care about just because I don't feel good, and lashing out potentially could make you feel better for a bit, but I don't know. I'm the adult, I guess. I'm the human in this case. But if you're dealing with a child, like you know, you're the adult, so you have to manage your emotions, regulate it, and step back from it at least. Um, but yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment today. It's a lot of mixed emotion, and I'm not sure how to do. Like, there's a practical side that I have no solutions over, and there is this helplessness that I can't seem to steer away or whip myself out of. And I'm not sure I should whip myself out of, because that's what I have been doing the past 40 years, and it got me here instead. So it got me nowhere, basically. So I don't know. I feel like I'm scared. I'm in a scary position and nothing will change. And I'm just going to be, the mind is just giving me the usual scenario, worst case scenario, like I'm gonna be starving again. I won't have any money to buy food again, because I won't have any money to buy Opal card, uh, credit, which means I can't go to the food bank to get free groceries. And with the cat, I figured out, like, if I go to that extreme state again of where I'm not having money and I'm gonna be starving again, and potentially homeless, I think I'm gonna go. I can call rescue and say that I can't. My circumstances have changed, so please, like, take care of this cat. And the rescue person seems to really like this cat, so I'm pretty sure, like, they would take care of her for a little bit before they can find, like, another foster. So in that case, I feel like, there is a kind of a safety net for the cat, because I'm not responsible. I might be very irresponsible for my own life, but I'm not responsible for other people's life, including cats and animals. I feel like I'm already irresponsible by taking her in during winter. I feel like, if unless you are in a good, stable financial position, maybe rescuing is not a good hobby to do. I think I wasn't thinking much. I was too concerned with the fact that she was a stray, and and we were heading towards winter, and I didn't want her to be out there during winter at night, because she wasn't indoors, she was outside. And so in that case, I think, um, yeah, I wasn't thinking too much of it, I guess. And maybe I was too lonely and I wanted company, and I don't know. But that's where I'm at right now. If you're new, this is basically what happens in this channel. I'm just ranting about my life, basically. How this channel comes about is because I have a vlog channel, and I used to do talking videos once a week last year. So, and I decided to drop that from that channel. And some people say that they still want to have some videos about me just talking and rambling. So I made this channel that talking videos, and kept the other channel as just silent vlogs of just everyday life. So um that's why this channel is not an audience centered channel. It's just a me rambling about my life and complaining the same thing over and over again. And I think, like, one of the resistance for me to the thing is, I'm not gonna get any better. I haven't gotten better in the past decade and a half. So there is no indication whatsoever that I will get better circumstances wise, meaning, like, I'm financial wise. Physically, I feel like I am getting better. My nervous system is progressing quite well. For example, in this winter, my skin is still very dry, but it's not bleeding dry, while it had been like that for the past 2 3 winters before that, or 5 4 4 winters before that. My hand and my skin would break and would dry, it would becomes very raw and bleeds, and you can see all the rawness of the hands and stuff. If you go into if you go from my vlog channel, you can go and see the 2024 playlist, where I basically vlogged for like 5 days a week in 2024. And I would show you my hand and stuff, and that just kept going for a little bit. But this year, there is no it's still dry, but there is no bleeding, and the skin is still intact. It doesn't break. Like, there is no surface break, which means it's an improvement, which means like my immune system's kind of healing itself. Um, so physically, I am getting better, but I think financially there is no way of getting better. But the only reason in my theory is the only reason that my physical situation got a bit better is because I didn't go out there to work. I followed like my what my physical body is trying to do. Is like when I'm in freezing mode, when I'm in trauma response freezing mode, I stayed in. I don't go out there and push myself anymore like I used to in the past. And I used to basically verbally abuse myself so that I do something, or I used to go out there and ask for people for jobs and then burnt out within 3 months and quit because I couldn't do it anymore. And this time around, I just listened. If it's in a phrasing response, I just stayed in and accept this is what it is. And I think that's the only reason that my body got better. But the problem is because we live in a capitalistic situation society, this is not an acceptable this is not an acceptable situation, or this is not an acceptable response, this is not an acceptable way of life. It's like you trying to get yourself better is on you. You should be able to work and get yourself better. That's like your whole response. The problem is with neurodivergent, not with my nervous system. I'm not saying all neurodivergent nervous. I'm saying my nervous system. I can't be consistent with that. When I have energy, I can do stuff. When I don't have energy, I can't do stuff. I feel bad for the cat sometimes, even because the cat is just looking at me in the in my bed, and it usually try to lead me into the living room. Basically, tries to get me out of bed these days. It meows me, basically trying to drag me out of bed so that I can go to the living room. So even the cat knows that I shouldn't get out of bed. Um, and I have seen this in the past as well. Like, I'm not saying like people don't want to help, but when people help, they want to see progress for their efforts. And that's not going to happen with me, or at least the progress is going to be extremely slow and it won't be on their timeline. Like they expect me to get better, get a job, get going, get your feet on the ground again, stabilize within 2 months, within a month. Turn around, have to be very quick. So when I'm not getting better, when I'm not able to get a job, years started passing by, decades started passing by. People got tired, which is understandable, which I'm not blaming them, which is the way normal people work, which is how I would probably respond to if I'm trying to help other people and there is no progress. It's like I'm frustrated with myself. I'm trying to, you know, get income coming in and then the world just keeps snatching it away from me. I get very frustrated when I put sacrifice a lot of health for to make money and then there's no progress, there's no traction. So I'm not blaming them, but I guess I can't expect people to help me because I can't guarantee results, I can't guarantee progress. So if help is going to be given, it has to be unconditional, which is unrealistic. I know that. I know having unconditional expectations of help into your life is unrealistic. So I can't ask for help because I will always constantly need help. And in this state, I am incapable of giving anything back, especially financially. I can't, and physically, I am very limited range wise. So it will be a very the neighbor is back next door, so I have to be careful what I say. So there's where I'm at. I am. This is something that I can't solve, and so I guess like one of the reason why I'm trying to use the bilateral stimulation in the morning as well, using the parasympathetic so that I can go into a trance and the parasympathetic system, and using affirmation and hypnosis is that I'm trying to calm my nervous system the fuck down so that I can think of a way out of this never-ending situation. So that's also the second agenda that I have by trying to use the bilateral stimulation, EMDR buzzing every day with affirmations and hypnosis so that I can down regulate my nervous system that is too hyped up, too filled with anxiety, so that it kind of clears the system. It's like I want to clear all the backlogs and all the trauma that is taking space in my nervous system so I can have space to create or like to receive a solution. So that's like the second agenda of why I'm doing it every morning. But I keep forgetting that one of the effect is that it can bring up um, a lot of emotions and a lot of turmoils of emotion in the body as well. In I think if I want to see it positively, I think it's like, oh, that means like, it's being released to it's being released out from your body. That's why it's good. That means you are creating space. It's actually doing what it's intended to do. But at the same time, my broken brain and nervous system is basically saying, oh, what tragedy is pending, because this feeling is so yucky and this anxiety is so paralyzing. So there's a split there, always a split. There's a party going on downstairs. It's a beautiful sunset there today. Is that better? I think that is better. Oh, but yeah, that's where I am at the moment, filled with a lot of chaotic emotions in my body, in my head, in my soul, in my mental space. It's just like I feel like I'm back to zero again. What is the point of life? It's just so. I don't want to die, right? I want to have a life that I feel is possible, that I have been chasing my whole life. But now it seems like maybe I've been tricked and maybe I've been lied to and maybe it will never come. So, what I really want is for life to kind of give me what I want, which is, I know it sounds so entitled. I want life to turn around for all the efforts that I put into fruit, into a more desired outcome. And so it's not like I don't want to put in the work. It's like all the work that I put in just doesn't produce anything. That's all. And yeah, so that I can just rest, which is what my life goal is always about. Rest in peace, not die, not death. Rest in peace, because if you rest and then you still have problems in your mind, you're not resting in peace. You're rest in anxiety. I want to be resting in peace. Uh, so yeah, I guess I just wish for life to turn around, and whatever I do produces a result that I desired or better. I don't know. I wish like money just flood in from everywhere, and I'd have to deal with people so much. So I can move by my own place, maybe adopt this cat or a different cat or like a different pet or something. Live nearby, somewhere convenient with lots of good food, Asian food possibly, and just have a normal life, but better and more finance and less anxious. and not always having to worry that, oh, am I going to be able to pay the bills? Am I ever going to be homeless? Things like that. I'm exhausted and I feel like my spirit is broken. So there is no, there is no more fantasy of recovery. I think that's the worst part about this all is that I don't like life has given me so many failures that my resilience is no longer. And I really hate the word resilience anyways, like what people use to not help people, This is probably just a bitter moment. I probably will like it again down in the future. But for right now, I am allowing myself to have a bitter moment. And I know, I'm frustrated at myself as well, because I have the voice of society in my head as well. It's like, why don't you learn something new? And then my beat up ego is basically saying, I can't learn anything new, okay? I don't have the mental energy or space to do that. My brain is basically has become dumb, has become mentally challenged to learn anything new. It's just so difficult. And that's something that is hugely create an identity crisis in me because when I was growing up, I was basically very good at in school. Like I'm not number one, but I'm usually in the top 10, top 5, top 10, It's easily I don't have to put any effort into it. I never wanted to be top one or number one because that's just too much effort. I wanted to enjoy life, but still part of the top 10, you know, um, which I did. I think that's how I cruised my school years. I still played and I still have time to go to English lessons, played with my friends, read a lot of comic books. The typical millennial upbringing. Um, I don't know. Anyway, this is probably a very unsatisfactory ending, but that's where I'm at right now. I'm not asking for advice. I'm not. This is just this channel is just a container for me and my process thoughts and feelings, whatever comes in mind. Um, but to be honest, it's not the most honest expression because usually the very honest expression is very dark. So I usually just record that and put it into my private collection. I don't think it's good for public consumption. I think I don't want to be hospitalized. Because usually what happens is when it's pretty extreme, it usually only lasted a few minutes and then it kind of passed. So I guess that's one thing that is really good at this age is that now I know all this heavy. I'm not saying the events itself. I'm not saying circumstances itself because you know all the consequences of all of this accumulated is real. There's a potentiality that I could be unhoused, and there's potentiality that I could, be destitute and starve again. So that's an actual real possibility because it did happen in the past. Not the destitute part, at least the starvation part that went on for years and years. So I knew that is a possibility, and because it happened in the past, so there is a possibility it could happen. But the feeling in the intense feelings are very the what people see as distressed on the outside in the expression, like when you're crying or when you're oh, when you go through all that emotion that people, probably society, associated with huge distress is not permanent, it's temporary. So I knew when I have those acute feelings, those are not going to permanently stay. It can't. If it's genuine, it can't. So I just have to push myself, or I just have to breathe myself through it until it passes or express itself out, which is either crying or yelling or like growling or sobbing, whatever it is that needs to be expressed. And then when you express it, it usually passes. So that's the if one thing that is going to take away from this particular video that is benefiting to you is that just feel the emotion, the intense emotion. Don't avoid it, feel it. If it's angry, like if it's anger and you feel like you can hit people, isolate yourself into a bathroom or something and then either scream or yell or just stomp your feet, express it. um as long as you need, and it will pass, it will, because the body and nervous system, from my experience, can't handle it for a long time if it's a genuine event that is happening. So in that case, I just keep it into my private collections when those kind of feelings very acute, so that I can actually see myself progressing, or if I see like the gap in between each episode has lengthened, so I feel like, oh, that's good. Because even though I am very sounded maybe very chaotic, I like to have data. I like to measure stuff. So this is my way of measuring stuff. Um, because I'm still autistic, so data and accuracy is still important. But yeah, I'm also reminding myself I'm 42. I'm 42, even though in my brain I'm still a teenager, and the helplessness and the age inside my head match, right? Like if it's a teenager, you can't do much, you can't do anything. You can't buy a house, you can't get yourself out of trouble, you still need other people to rescue you. So in this case, I feel like my circumstances from the inside make sense. Like, yeah, of course. But from the outside, it doesn't make sense, because, of course, it doesn't make sense. At 42, you should be able to, or at least you should experience a lot of life experiences, buying a house, or having a partner, having community around you, build relationship, maintain a job, these kind of things, markers that I don't have, or I can't even maintain. And yeah, so anyway, I don't know where the argument's going to lead, but that's where it is now. I'm fine. This is just a discussion that I'm doing every week. So when you hear this, don't feel like, oh, she's not well. She is well. Um, this is just her processing process. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate it. If you want to contribute to these channels and to support me and stuff, all the links are down below. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Click subscribe and like and share if you wanna help out. I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.